Long ago, in the village of Aro, nestled within the rich fertile grounds of Igboland, there lived a maiden named Kainene. Born into the Ijogu clan, her beauty was unmatched, yet her life was overshadowed by the curse of her ancestors. Her great-grandfather had committed the unforgivable crime of murder, and because of this, Kainene was born into the Osu caste, marked as an outcast in the eyes of her people. To the villagers, she was untouchable. They avoided her like a plague, fearing that her very presence would bring misfortune. Young maidens would scatter whenever she came near, whispering harsh words just loud enough for her to hear. They say, if you look into her eyes, you will go blind, some murmured. Others swore that to touch her skin was to invite bad luck into your life. Despite their cruel words and the heavy burden of her lineage, Kainene held her head high, remaining gentle and kind. One evening, Kainene made her way to the stream, her calabash balanced delicately on her head. As she walked, she heard a distant cry. "Help! Help! Is anyone out there?" The clouds were darkening, and the night was quickly approaching. Kainene hesitated, her steps faltering, but something in the voice tugged at her heart. Against her better judgment, she set down her calabash and followed the sound into the bushes. The farther she ventured into the woods, the clearer the voice became with each step. Finally, she stumbled upon a man lying on the ground, his leg severely injured, unable to move. Without a moment's hesitation, Kainene knelt beside him. She tore a strip of cloth from her wrapper and began to bandage the wound. From the surrounding forest, she gathered medicinal herbs and applied them to his injury. The man groaned as she walked, his face pale from the pain. "Where do you live?" Kainene asked softly. "I will help you get home." "I am a guard at the palace," the man replied weakly. "But today was my day off. I came to enjoy the peace of the forest when I was attacked by a wild animal." Kainene helped him to his feet, her own strength surprising her. Together, they made their way back to the palace gates. The man, grateful for her help, turned to thank her, but she had already disappeared into the night like a ghost. Little did Kainene know, the man she had saved was no ordinary guard. It was Prince Ezenwa, the heir to the throne of Aro, who had once again snuck out of the palace in disguise to wander the village anonymously. The prince was known for his wisdom and compassion. He disliked the formality of palace life and often disguised himself as a commoner to experience the village as an ordinary man. Upon his return to the palace, the prince found his guards in a frenzy, searching for him. "Where have you been, my prince?" they cried, their faces pale with fear. "We thought something terrible had happened to you." The prince was about to brush off their concerns when his mind flashed back to the maiden who had saved him. He hadn't asked for her name or her clan. All he remembered were the kindness in her eyes and the gentleness of her touch. A week passed, but Prince Ezenwa could not get Kainene's face out of his mind. His heart longed to see her once more. However, after the incident, his parents had commanded him to stay within the palace walls, leaving him unable to search for the mysterious maiden who had captured his heart. But Prince Ezenwa was determined to find a way. After sending his guards on an errand, he changed out of his royal attire, donned the humble garments of a commoner, and quietly slipped out through the back gate. He returned to the path where he had been injured, hoping to see Kainene again. He waited for hours, but she did not appear. Undeterred, he came back day after day, always departing with a heavy heart when she did not arrive. Then one evening, just as he began to lose hope, Prince Ezenwa saw her. Kainene was walking along the path, her calabash once more balanced gracefully on her head. His heart raced as he hurried towards her. "Maiden," he called out, breathless with excitement, "I have been waiting for you." Startled, Kainene turned, her eyes widening in recognition. For a fleeting moment, a soft smile touched her lips. "You should not be waiting for me," she said quietly, her voice gentle yet firm. But Prince Ezenwa would not be dissuaded. "I must thank you for saving my life," he said. "Tell me your name, so I may know the woman who showed me such kindness." Reluctantly, Kainene revealed her name, though her voice trembled with a warning. "I am Osu," she whispered, her words barely audible. "You should not associate with someone like me." The prince met her gaze with unwavering resolve. "Your heart is pure," he replied gently. "And that is all that matters to me." With a soft smile, Prince Ezenwa offered to help her carry the calabash of water, and together they walked towards her home. As they spoke, a deep connection formed between them, and their brief encounter blossomed into something more. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and their meetings became more frequent. They even found a secret place where they could spend time together, away from prying eyes. Their moments together were filled with joy and tenderness. Prince Ezenwa loved Kainene deeply, and she too loved him with all her heart. One day, while Prince Ezenwa was with Kainene at their hidden spot, Princess Akweke of the neighboring village of Ide arrived at the palace. Betrothed to the Prince Ezenwa from birth, Akweke was a maiden of stunning beauty, but a cold and prideful heart. Unlike Prince Ezenwa, whose kindness and wisdom were renowned, Princess Akweke was driven by ambition and entitlement. The prince had never accepted their betrothal, for he found her nature harsh and her pride unbearable. However, Princess Akweke was relentless in her pursuit of him, refusing to accept his rejection. The king and queen, meanwhile, favored the union, believing it would strengthen the bond between Aro and Ide, as Akweke was the only daughter of the king of Ide. When Princess Akweke learned that Prince Ezenwa was not at the palace, that he had not taken his guards with him, and that no one knew where he had gone, her anger fled. Furious, she summoned Uzo, the prince's most trusted guard, and ordered her own guards to torture him until he revealed the prince's whereabouts. Uzo, who was like a brother to Prince Ezenwa, tried to keep the prince's secret, but the pain was unbearable. As the thought intensified, Uzo finally cried out in a weakened voice, "Stop! I will tell you where he is." The guards, their faces dark with menace, threatened him further. "Speak now, or lose your life," they commanded. Uzo revealed Kainene and Prince Ezenwa's secret love. When Princess Akweke received the report, her heart burned with rage, and jealousy consumed her. On her way home, she seated with thoughts of what to do with Kainene. "I will never let another woman take what is mine," she vowed bitterly to herself. Throughout the night, she couldn't stop obsessing over the situation, devising one malicious plan after another to remove Kainene from Prince Ezenwa's life. To the princess, Kainene was not merely a rival, but a threat to her power and status. When she learned that Kainene was an Osu, her determination to destroy her only deepened. "How dare Ezenwa insult me like this?" she fumed, "choosing an outcast over me?" The very thought wounded her pride and sense of entitlement. Princess Akweke wasted no time in informing Prince Ezenwa's parents of Kainene's identity. Outraged by their son's choice of an outcast for a lover, they quickly intervened. "You will bring disgrace upon this house," the king thundered. "I forbid you to see that girl ever again." But Prince Ezenwa's love for Kainene was stronger than any command. "You cannot dictate the desires of my heart," he responded adamantly. His refusal only intensified his parents' anger. In desperation, they locked him within the palace and posted guards to ensure he couldn't escape. Meanwhile, Princess Akweke schemed her final act of vengeance. In the dead of the night, she sent her guards to Kainene's house. They seized Kainene from her bed and dragged her to the evil forest, a place dreaded by all and from which no one ever returned. There, Kainene met her tragic end. As life slowly left her body, she uttered one last prayer. "Amadioha!" she cried with her final breath. "If you are truly the God of justice, grant me the chance to fulfill my love." With those words, Kainene passed away. When word of Kainene's demise reached Prince Ezenwa, he was overcome with grief. Despite the danger, he rushed to the evil forest. There he found Kainene's lifeless body and his heart shattered. Stricken by sorrow, Prince Ezenwa fell gravely ill, and within days, he too passed away, joining his beloved in the afterlife. Moved by Kainene's final prayer, Amadioha, the god of justice, decided to intervene. He witnessed the purity of their love and the deep injustice of their separation. In his mercy, Amadioha granted Kainene's wish. Many years later, in another place and time, she was reborn, this time as Olanna. Olanna was born into the Igbo clan of Obioma village. From a young age, she was admired for her beauty and grace, though a quiet sadness lingered in her eyes, as if her soul carried the memory of a love lost in another lifetime. For years, the Obioma village had been locked in a bitter rivalry with its neighbor, Aku. Both villages were determined to dominate the annual wrestling tournament, a competition that held far more at stake than just physical strength. It was a matter of pride and honor for both communities. As the planting season drew to a close, the tournament approached once again. Soon, all 6 neighboring villages, Obioma, Ako, Isielu, Uboma, Eziala, and Irebe, would gather to wrestle, with the victorious wrestler crowned at the end. As always, anticipation ran high, and everyone eagerly awaited whether Obioma or Ako would claim the coveted prize, as one of these 2 villages always emerged victorious. Finally, the day of the tournament arrived, and Olanna was among the spectators. The Obioma wrestler emerged victorious, but the victory was met with outrage from the Aku villagers, who accused the wrestler of cheating. Tensions quickly escalated, and in no time, a violent clash erupted between the 2 villages. Amid the chaos, Olanna tried to flee, but fell to the ground, sustaining injuries. As she lay there, a young man from Aku village came to her aid. He gently lifted her in his arms and carried her to safety, to a secluded spot near the edge of the forest. "Thank you for coming to my aid," Olanna said. "I would never have imagined that an Aku man would save an Obioma maiden." The man looked at her kindly and replied, "Not all of us allow a tournament to dictate whether we show kindness to others." Olanna felt a sense of relief at finding someone who shared her mindset. "I am Olanna. What is your name?" "My name is Nnamdi, from the Okoro clan of Aku village," he answered. As Olanna lifted her head, their eyes met, and it was as if time stood still. A flame ignited between them, one that neither could fully explain. From that day onward, a deep love blossomed, and they found that they could not go a day without seeing each other. When time came for Nnamdi to choose a wife, he knew in his heart that he could marry no one but Olanna. However, the rivalry between the villages made their union seem impossible. Nnamdi's father, a stern and proud man, insisted that his son marry within their own community. He refused to even consider the idea of his son marrying someone from another village, especially not from Obioma. Meanwhile, Olanna had already been betrothed to another man, a promising young suitor who was greatly admired by her parents. Olanna and Nnamdi often met at their secret spot near the edge of the forest, where they could speak freely and dream of a future together. This place where they found solace in each other's company was a sacred ground. Unknown to them, it was the dwelling place of Allah, the earth mother goddess, the deity of morality and fertility. One day, as they sat together under the shade of a great Iroko tree, Allah watched over them. Moved by their unwavering devotion to each other, she revealed the truth of their connection. As they held each other, lost in their love, Allah led them into a trance. In this mystical state, they saw their past lives, reliving the moments of their love as Kainene and Ezenwa, and the tragedy that had torn them apart. When Allah, the earth goddess, unveiled the truth of their past lives, Olanna and Nnamdi realized that their love had transcended lifetimes. As they wept in each other's embrace, Allah appeared before them. Your love failed in the past. The only way to fulfill it now is by sealing your bond, she declared. She then presented them with a mystical egg, a symbol of rebirth and divine blessing. As Olanna and Nnamdi held it together, they felt a surge of warmth and hope, and then the egg vanished. Their bond was sealed, cleansed of the misfortune that had once plagued them. Nnamdi returned to his village and presented Olanna to his parents, declaring her as the woman he wished to marry. In time, both families came to accept their union, recognizing that their love was a force that could not be denied. Their wedding was a grand celebration, filled with joy and vibrant festivities, uniting both villages. As Nnamdi drank from the cup of palm wine presented by Olanna, the sky above seemed to glow with a light that had not been seen in generations, as if the heavens themselves were celebrating their love. Fertility and prosperity graced their union, and Olanna bore 7 beautiful children, each more blessed than the last. They lived a life of joy and fulfillment, leaving behind a legacy of love that transcended time and tradition. The moral of the story is that the past, though it may cast shadows over our lives, does not define our future. With the courage to follow our hearts, we can find happiness and fulfillment no matter the trials we face.